Hey, welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening, watching, and learning. This is Business Growth Insiders Podcast, episode number 17 on the 17th. Thank you, Jeff Robertson. Guys, today we're just going to get right into it. No nitty gritty, no dad jokes this morning. We're getting right into it because we have an amazing guest here with Jeff Robertson with ETA Creative Event Producers. Jeff, I'm not even going to read your bio because you've got this. So, Jeff, just take away. Just tell us, who you are and what you do.
Well, thanks, Jeff and Lisa, both for having me here today. It's an honor to get to share a little time and talk about this crazy events industry. But yeah, been in this space since 1996. Started this company back in 2012. We've got about 26 awesome ETAers that I get to represent and support here on site in Marietta. And before the COVID crisis, we were doing on average about 100 shows a year for about 45 unique brands all across the U.S. and abroad. So when I say show, it's primarily a sales and marketing kickoff, a users conference, recognition events, product launches are a big thing that we do as well. So anything that revolves around gathering a large group of people, which that's we can't say that out loud these days, but that's where we really thrived, is to help to communicate those messages and create really cool environments for our customers to tell their stories.
Yeah, and Jeff, when you're talking about these live events, it's not a couple of guys showing up with some cameras and a soundboard. Like, these are major emotion-filled, like excitement-driven events. So maybe give us an idea of the level of clients that you're working with.
Sure. So what I could do, Lisa, is kind of give you an idea. So back the second week of March, before this whole crisis came down, we had two major events going on, one in Orlando for one of our top customers for their internal, what they call facility management group. So 1,400 people that they're entertaining, educating. There's two main general session rooms, four what they call business line meeting tracks, and 15 breakout sessions, opening sessions, closing sessions, coordinated 5Ks, pre-event gifts, all kinds of things that go into these things. So to your point, yeah, it's more than a couple of guys with, a camera on their shoulder. I think we had a team of about 25 to 26 people, plus the local support staff down there to pull that one off. And then at the same time, we're out in Las Vegas with a big users conference for one of our big healthcare, human capital management companies. And for that one, it's really cool because we had Michelle Obama speak on stage and also had Michael Bublé play the closing party. So that's 5,200 people, another group of 30 or 40 people of our awesome ETAers that are out there, delivering on site on behalf of our customers. So yeah, they're big undertakings, and I guess some simple data logistics. So we probably had 6 53-foot semi trucks full of equipment, circumnavigating the United States during that 2-week time period.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's
so
fun.
Now the actual title of this episode is Pivoting Your Business When Your Industry Changes, and boy, has your industry changed, as well as a lot of other business industries out there. A lot of small businesses that we deal with obviously have had to try and pivot and move through this whole COVID crisis, and you guys have done a phenomenal job of doing so. So can you tell us kind of like what happened and give us like the story of kind of how this all changed for you?
Sure.
and where you guys have gone?
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff, and thanks for the compliment. We're doing well, and we're getting better every day. It's a new journey for sure. But yeah, when you say lots of businesses and lots of individuals have been impacted, so my heart goes out to everybody for sure. This is one of these situations where I think everyone in the world has been affected in some way, shape, or form. But our industry, the live events industry, came to a screeching halt around March 12th. Like I mentioned, we average probably in the 8 to 10 shows a month range. And we went from, March 12th with those two big events to zero. We have done zero live events for 4 months. So it's been a bit of a challenge, but, virtual has become a thing. So everybody's talking about virtual and how we can make the shift to take their events online. So there's been a lot of learning on our team's part to educate ourselves on what does it mean to do a virtual web conference versus a virtual event, and what's that distinction and how can we better educate our customers, because there actually is a massive gap there. So it took a little time to understand what that was, because like here, we're in a web conference platform. You guys use StreamYard, there's Zoom, there's Microsoft Teams, all that kind of stuff that's out there that does a really, really good job when you're doing this one-to-few type of communication. But when it's a one-to-many and it needs to be a branded experience, that's where you truly do need a company like ours to come in and help you out, because you are developing content, you are aligning with a platform, And we call that the virtual venue these days. So that's a big mindset shift that we've asked of our team and our customers, because historically, you're going to, we'll just say the Wynn Las Vegas, for example, they're one of our favorites. But now we're not doing that. We can't gather in those large groups. So the shift is we have to select the platform to host our event virtually online, and then think about what are the objectives of that event and how we want to populate that platform with great content to engage the user, give them benefit, give them return on showing up to be here for whatever the time period may be, and then ultimately serve sponsors, exhibitors, and our customers to make sure they're communicating the right messages. So there's been a lot that has gone on over the past few months just to try to really, like I said, educate ourselves so we can best educate our customers, how we position ourselves in the market, because we have a massive warehouse full of equipment that is not being used right now. So we quickly made the shift to build out a studio here at our office so that anybody within driving distance of Atlanta, because travel is a little bit of a thing right now, could come in and we could host their event from our location. Yeah, which is
amazing.
Cool.
That's great.
Yeah. So Jeff, it sounds like the planning process might have shifted versus when you were doing live events. You want to talk to us about that? Has there really been a shift in that?
Yeah, Lisa, it absolutely has. Some of it's been crazy because we've made the shift so quickly that folks are like, look, we need to get something happening in 2 or 3 weeks. So we would, roll our sleeves up and jump in and get things rolling. But quickly we learned that we actually need to extend that timeline a little bit. 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months is a lot of time, or probably the necessary amount of time to plan one of these virtual events, because in historic ages, so I can go back to when we were doing things live, Jeff and Lisa would show up at my, general session with their PowerPoint presentation that they just, edited that night, plug it into our graphics computers, go up on stage, do a quick orientation, tweak a couple of words and phrases, and then by 9 o'clock, they're ready to go and present to a crowd. Well, unfortunately, in the virtual world, those days don't exist, So we have to back that timeline up, the planning timeline up, at least 2 or 3 weeks. Get the executives on board to bake their content, bake their presentations, so we can pre-record them. So we can shoot them either in a studio or at their location. And we've got solutions for both. We could send what we call a little fly pack, a little 2-man crew to your house, Jeff, or to your house, Lisa, and shoot you, high quality content, get your presentation all baked. Then we can edit that together to populate that platform, that virtual event platform. But you talk about, the mindset shift there is you've got to really think about what you want to say to that audience 3 weeks from now, and get all that stuff put in, because once it's in the can and edited, it's difficult to go back and change and update. So it has shifted some of the way we approach how we deliver content.
Wow. So because of us being marketers, we do a lot of webinars, and one of the biggest problems with webinars, of course, is getting people to actually show up for your webinar, whether it's live or pre-recorded. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
So what are some of the examples that you can give of ways that you guys have been able to make sure that people are actually showing up for these live events?
Well, and that's a great question, Jeff. I mean, and there's a big range, right? So you've got webinars, you have web conferences, then you have these virtual event experiences that we're helping create. The biggest part is we ask everybody to think about the time period, the time slot, because Zoom fatigue, laptop fatigue, computer fatigue, that is a thing these days. So you want to make sure that, when you got somebody's attention, keep it 30 minutes to an hour in an environment like this, and make sure that it's topical and it's content that they want to consume, that they want to hear, and that they can walk away with a few actionable items that they could take immediately and to apply to their daily routines. Outside of that is do something fun. Every one of these platforms nowadays has a polling feature or a gamification feature. So do something that's kind of neat and lighthearted, come on and ask about, hey, for the past 4 months, what have you done? Have you exercised every day? Have you started to learn how to bake banana bread? Are you, hitting the vodka at 3 o'clock, So, and it's a fun way to start things out, just to get people engaged and disarm a little bit. Then you can go into whatever it is you want to talk about. But then when you shift up to some of the larger corporations that may have some budget to spend, they're really fun things that are pretty unique given our environment, because just like we're all at home these days, a lot of these big entertainers and keynote speakers and celebrities are at home as well. So we could do, little special appearances in the event itself. So maybe you could have, a guy like Will Ferrell or Frank Caliendo, and please, I'm not, endorsing or saying that these guys do it, but pop into your live event and be like, hey, okay, well, up next, we're going to have Jeff Evans talk about, digital marketing strategy. And people are on the, on the event are going, oh my gosh, did you just see that? So
Yeah.
yeah, just incentivize people to be there, and they get a unique experience that may be different than, a pre-recorded, on demand type of a thing if that happens live. But stuff like that, little fun things that you could do, and easy little giveaways for the big corporations as well, just to engage the user. There's a cool thing that I heard about here recently, where Grubhub is actually doing a thing where they will dedicate a window of time. Well, they can schedule deliveries to your attendees. So if you're doing an evening event, like around 6 o'clock at dinner time or lunchtime, like we're doing now, no, work with a local partner in your area and deliver a little snack. So it's just another little way to incentivize folks. Again, there's a level of cost, that's involved in some of that stuff. But again, you just think outside of the box, and there's a lot of great companies out there that are also doing the same, and just leveraging, all of the superpowers together so that you can create a pretty cool experience.
Yeah. And Jeff, I could see doing those pre-recorded pieces would be great for promotional purposes, just giving a little snippet, a sneak peek in there.
Totally.
Thing I like in that is being able to use some of your local vendors who have been so impacted by the live event space or live event activity going on. You've got caterers and hospitality people and just all kinds of things surrounding that. So you're putting those people to work as well.
Doing the best we can, for sure. And there's a group out there that we partner with in April called Off Their Plate. And I will give them an endorsement because they're doing amazing work. But basically, I think she's a Harvard grad, the lady that started this nonprofit. She said, look, I'm up here in New York. We're the hot spot for all of this, coronavirus. And there's all these restaurants that cannot open. So let me figure out a way to where I could go and pre-order food from local restaurants in New York, get that food, use a delivery service to take it to frontline workers. So that's all that she wanted to do, and got the word out there. And all of these great big tech companies, one of our customers, Navisite, picked up on that, and used them from a charitable component for a live concert that we did with them, and to benefit that charity. And they're just doing amazing work. So yeah, there's all kinds of really smart people that are thinking outside the box these days. You just got to, keep your eyes open and leverage them where you can.
Yeah. So talking about outside the box, what were some things that when all this hit, you probably took a moment to say, okay, what does it look like? How did you move forward with that?
Another really good question. So we have always done an element of live stream in what we do. So we kind of knew about it, but it was always around a live event. We would just push it out to the web for those that may not have been able to attend, or whatever the situation was. But then all of a sudden it became like the way that we're going to have to communicate. So in the early stages of quarantine, it was all what we call remote to remote. So we had to really learn about how we can connect and engage people, no matter where they were going to be, so they could have conversations much like what we're having right now. But then we had to start to think about, okay, how do we deliver content in these environments as well? Whether it's PowerPoint, video content, whatever that may be. So we had to think a little bit differently, because some of these platforms just don't have that feature and functionality. So really had to learn what are the best means that we can deliver high quality content to a large group of people. So it was just a lot of education, to be honest with you, in the beginning, and then starting to realize, okay, internet bandwidth, all that stuff is spotty. We can't control it. So we have to do something on our end with the people and the smart folks that we have here at our company. So that's why we decided to build out that studio. And when we're done with this, we have a link that I'll share with you guys that you can send to your audience. It kind of goes through the studio, the environment itself that we've created, and also gives people a couple other tips and tricks of what they can utilize for when they're looking at doing an event in this current world.
Awesome. So, okay. Also, I read on your website that, and this is a direct quote from the site, it says, "We engineer environments in which our customers can tell their stories," which is awesome. Obviously, I mean, storytelling is key in everything that a business does. So walk us through how you do that from a live events perspective, because we will go back to live events.
We will.
Who knows when, but we will, of course, go back. And then also, how have you pivoted, the storytelling to an online virtual environment?
Yeah. That's something, Jeff, that we really hang our hat on here. We feel like it's something that separates us from the competition. There's a lot of good companies out there, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them just go out there and set up, cool audiovisual equipment, turn it on, and they're like, okay, we're good to go, we're set. Well, we feel like our jobs have just begun when that environment's been engineered and set up and looks beautiful, because that just becomes the backdrop for those individuals on stage to go up there and engage that audience. And Lisa, just like you said, to create or evoke an emotional experience, an emotional reaction from those attendees. So we're always thinking through the attendees' eyes, through that lens. What I want to hear, see, and feel. How do I want to be immersed in this brand? Really understand what our customers stand for, their values, their mission, why they do what they do, and then really wrap all that into what we're going to create for them when it's in a live event or in a virtual environment, because that's critical, absolutely critical to understand the heartbeat of the companies that we're representing and understand who those different audiences are, because each audience is a little bit different. You could have an internal audience of salespeople and you want to communicate to them differently than you would your HR folks or your product development folks. And if it's a group of users, they're your customers, that's again another approach altogether. So really taking time to understand and listen and learn so we can craft those environments.
That's really good. That's really good, because I think we've all been to live events where you're sitting there in the midst of it and you think, this is amazing. I'm going to start doing things differently. And then when you walk out, you get back to life, and then things get back to what we think of as normal.
Sure.
But I think designing the experience, and I've been in your events, Jeff, you do an amazing job of when people walk out of there is a call to action for their lives that you're able to craft, and you just do it masterfully. So, just having been a recipient in the audience and also a participant in that, you do a stellar job of that. So I want to give a shout out and a kudos to you for you and your team doing that.
You're very kind, and it is more of the team than it is me. We have, and I say it all the time, people say, what do you do? Your title is managing director. I'm like, well, I provide and protect. I want to provide an opportunity and protect the heck out of the people that we've got here and our customers. But yeah, we've got the smartest folks, I believe, in the industry, the most talented, and I just get to wake up every day and work alongside them. So I thank you for the kind compliment, Lisa.
All right, Jeff. So I got to ask you, what is, if you can define at least one, what is one of the coolest events that you guys have ever put on in person? And then what's one of the coolest events that you either have or are about to put on from a virtual perspective?
Okay, that's a good one. So a couple of things from the live capacity. So one of our big milestones as a company was, when we're working with a customer and engineering their environments, is the talent that we represent as well and bring in. We have a group that we work with out of Pacific Palisades that helps us with all of our talent. But there's a threshold where you have a 7-figure artist that gets to come onto your stage and perform for the audience in the environment that you have created. The first time we did that was back in 2014 out in Las Vegas. We have Michael Bublé come in and play on one of our stages. Right. Yeah. And man, I tell you what, I remember walking down the halls of the Bellagio and I was tingling. I don't think my feet were touching the ground. The entire team was in there. They had already had everything set up. One of our co-founders and SVP, Michael Rudell, had been working literally, I think, for 72 hours straight on this event, and making sure that the transformation from the general session to that evening, very intimate, backroom Las Vegas vibe was all set perfectly. And I was just walking down there and I tweeted out, like, this is just a major milestone for our company. We've got Bublé playing on our stage. We brought him to our customer. And it was just one of the coolest events that I have ever been a part of as a human being, and more so as a person in the production industry. So that was really cool.
And what about virtually? Have you been able to do anything super cool from a virtual perspective so far?
Yeah. I mean, the first one that we did out of the gate, Jeff, was really, really cool. We had a customer in Navisite that really trusted us with their brand and what they were trying to do. They had just acquired a couple of other data infrastructure companies, and they just wanted to create a brand awareness campaign. So we have, again, unique access to talent, had their CEO pipe in from Boston, had talent. Johnny Resnick from the Goo Goo Dolls was up in New Jersey. And then we partnered with that group Off Their Plate, incredible charity out of New York. So coordinating those 3 locations from their homes was just a really cool, very authentic, had just a really down-home grassroots kind of vibe to it, because there was no big selling component. It was just all about doing some good in a very weird time. And it came across incredibly well. Navisite was able to raise something like $50,000 or $60,000 for the charity. And we had like 25,000 unique viewers for that, that one event. It was a 32-minute, a little, web event that we were able to produce. So it was just a lot of fun. But we're just taking all that lessons, all those information that we have learned, and just applying that to the new ones we're doing. We're working on a proposal right now for an incredible series of events where we would have, some cool, guest speakers that pop in and out here and there. And just, again, you just try to keep people's attention and do things that they don't quite expect, because you've got a little bit more latitude in this environment actually than what you do in the live, because it's hard to keep somebody's secret walking down the back hallways, at a live event.
Yeah.
But in this world, it's like, hey, here's the Zoom link, like you sent me at 12:15, or here's the the StreamYard link. Pop into this at this specific time, and all of a sudden, everybody that's watching is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm seeing Jeff Evans. This is amazing.
There you go.
It's true. Yeah, they are blessed to be able to see me.
They're totally blessed. My day has been made.
Yeah. Several times you've referenced your team, and I know you've got a great organization. That doesn't happen by accident. So talk to us a little bit about your philosophy and strategy you use to build the culture you have in your company.
A good one. And so we look for character and integrity. Those are the two main qualities that we look for. And you got to be a go-getter. We feel like we could teach you the rest. Experience is great. We've got some great experienced individuals, and we also hired a lot of our folks green. We just saw something in them, and we train them our way because we feel like our way is a little bit better, of course, like everybody out there in the world does. But it's proven to be a very successful process and philosophy. We have 4 core principles: do the right thing, always give 100%, show people you care, and be better. We embody those. We talk about those all around the building all the time. We actually chart against those principles whenever we're coaching or giving back advice and information. The do the right thing one comes up almost daily, I would imagine. And the big thing there is, it's when you do the right thing, it's often not the right thing for yourself. It's what's right for your team, your customer, or your project.
Really good points.
So, Jeff, you are in a very creative space, whether it's in person or virtually. So, what inspires you? How does your team and you how do you get the inspiration to be able to create these magical events for your corporations that you work with?
Yeah, it's the problem solving. It's knowing that there's a need to communicate, to gather people, to create experiences, and it's very subjective. There's not one way to get it done. And getting up every day with knowing that I've got this entire team that's behind me, that gives me the confidence to go out there and try new and different things, make a couple of mistakes along the way, but learn from them. But to give me that's the inspiration and motivation that I need every day. Knowing that I get to represent these guys, we get to go out there and solve really cool, complex, creative communication problems, and do it in a world where you're appreciated for your contribution. And we get that, thumbs up or kudos at the end of the day. Our name's never out there, and we like it that way. And like Lisa said, sometimes you just walk into an event environment and it just feels good. You don't quite know what it is, but by goodness, it's something. We are part of that. That's our secret sauce. We just create that incredible environment where you walk into it and you're like, man, I'm in the right place. I'm doing the right thing. I'm with the right company. I can't wait to hear and see what's next. That's what inspires me. And I get butterflies every time doors open up and the walk-in music's playing, whether it's virtual or it's in a live event. I get those butterflies in my stomach because we've got to create something from nothing. And that's a pretty fun thing to be able to do day in and day out.
Jeff, that's a good tip for us. We can need some walk-in music.
There you go. Walk in, walk up music, the simple little things. We talk here in the company all the time about transitions, right?
Yeah.
That's where these events really do, you can make it or break it during the transitions. So when you've got the music and the lights playing just right and the cool videos are playing in the background and you rehearse transitions with all the different presenters, it just keeps the energy up in the room, because otherwise it just kind of falls flat. Simple little things.
So it's like WWE is what you're telling me.
Pretty much. Yeah, everything is lasers, pyro are a must.
Walk-in music. So I wonder what Lisa's walk-in music would be. Maybe Eye of the Tiger.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Everybody wants to rule the world.
All right.
That'd be awesome. All right. So let's bring it down to you work with Fortune 100 companies, but you also work with smaller companies as well.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot of the people that will inevitably see this, listen to this, whatever, are going to be very, very small business owners. So give us some tips or tricks or something that these people can use to to generate, eyeballs on their businesses, on their causes. From a live streaming perspective, yes, we use a company called StreamYard.
Mhm.
You can use Zoom, things like that. Although Zoom can get hacked, and
It can.
wow, it certainly got hacked yesterday at a thing I was on. But besides the point,
Really? Wow.
oh, bad, really, really bad. And I felt really bad for the gentleman. It's a 2-day event, and he had over 100 and some people on there, probably about 160, and it got hacked, and it was brutal hack.
Yeah, that's tough.
Like nasty, nasty stuff. So you have to be careful with how you set things up. Obviously,
You do.
you have to be, cognizant that there are evil people in this world that want
Right.
to do evil things for absolutely no reason whatsoever, just to be evil, and all of that. But now I'll get off my soapbox and go back to the original question, which is,
Sure.
what are some things that small business owners like myself, Lisa, others
Yeah.
can use to really take this to the next level.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I mean, in the virtual space right now, security is top of mind.
Mhm.
So you definitely want to vet out whatever your platform is or whatever your streaming service is going to be to make sure that they do have the correct security licenses. But it doesn't have to be crazy expensive, guys. That's the bottom line. There's a litany of platforms and solution providers that are out there. It's just picking the right one, engaging somebody and just talking to it. Like we use Vimeo live stream, and we embed those links into whatever the platform may be out there. We don't represent or sell any one platform at all. We've just seen that, if we have Vimeo live stream, we can do a lot with that service in and of itself, and it's relatively inexpensive. But for the larger events that we have to create, you've got to create that virtual environment. So, but back to the question. So smaller events, yeah, think about your content, pre-record whatever you can. Pick a platform that suits your needs, fits your price point, and that gives you a certain level of engagement back with your audience, whether it's polling, online donations. We do a lot of work with some great charitable institutions, some 501c3s here in the city of Atlanta. And we're always guiding those guys on how we can engage their audience with where they are and make sure that they're seeing value back in the organization, and the organization can reach them and generate their fundraising goals. So, it doesn't have to be complicated. It really doesn't. I wanted to debunk some of those myths that are out there about how hard these things are. They are complex. I'm not going to lie. They are complex. But if you engage a partner, it doesn't have to be expensive. Just make sure you're thinking about your content. Content's king. Think about all your connectivity and the way that you want to communicate or craft that experience that your users are going to consume, and simplify wherever you can. Because it's already complex enough, and like I said, I think when we were chatting before, guys, your competition is Netflix and Amazon Prime right now. So if you're not going to grab them and engage them and give them something that they need, they're going to change the channel.
Mm-hmm. Very
It's not just that; it's also their children who've been banging on my door the entire time we've been recording this.
Totally.
They always know. They
always know. That's what you get for having children in the house while you're trying to record an episode. So yeah, these are all things you need to be cognizant of, which is why you suggest trying to pre-record as much as possible, so that you can eliminate some of these issues that can arise at a moment's notice.
Yeah, we call it semi-live, and it doesn't mean you have to have a full broadcast studio to record it. Our team worked with a couple of our customers on teaching folks to record directly to their desktop, taking that video, pairing it up with the audio in their presentation. And it took a few hours, but that's okay. And then you package that and you put it up onto the website. And when you've got that video, you can do a cool little graphic bumper on the front and the back end, do a lower third so you know their name, make it look kind of snazzy. It's something different than you would see on a Zoom call, but it doesn't have to be crazy, crazy complicated and expensive. There are ways to get things done effectively that will separate what your event looks like from folks that aren't taking the time to really understand and educate themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well, we are at the almost the 30-minute mark here, guys. So I think we're gonna wrap up our episode. Jeff, is there anything? Obviously, tell people where they can reach you, your website, any kind of email addresses or phone numbers, or anything that you'd like to provide, and any parting words of wisdom.
Yeah, the biggest thing is I appreciate you guys and you having me on. It really does mean a lot.
Thank you.
It's a tough time that our entire world's facing right now, but like I tell our team, we've got two decisions or two choices when we have a situation like this. You can stick your head in the dirt and hope it goes away, or you could stand up, face it, and do something about it. So we're choosing the latter. I hope you guys do as well. I think the time that we're in is temporary. The live events will return, to your point, Jeff. It's probably going to be another 3 to 6 months at least, which is unfortunate, but We just have to adapt and overcome. This is a big reset for the world, for our industry specifically. But yeah, if you want to reach out and learn more about us, or if we could help coach you, we have a philosophy here. We just call it give it away. If you want some advice, input, help, we're happy to help. The web address is www.eta, like Echo Tom Alpha. It's on my shirt here. ETAHQ, like headquarters.com, or give us a call, 404-654-0200.
Awesome. And of course, everything will be in the show notes, guys, through the podcast, through YouTube as well. So you'll be able to get all that information from there. So look down and you should be to find it if you're listening to this, watching this afterwards. Jeff, thank you so much for being on the show today. We really do appreciate it.
Right. You guys rock. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. Have a great weekend. Okay.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.